Hey boys and girls, welcome back. This is our little wrap up with the Kia. Again, thanks to the Kia folks for letting us have it. There's actually a backstory on this. You want to?
Yeah. So in 2020, as Munro Live started to grow, we would actually pay money to rent vehicles to review. So we did a few reviews of vehicles with 5 or 6 episodes. But now that we're a little bit bigger, I've asked our videographers, Zach and Eric, just to reach out to the press groups of major OEMs to ask for vehicles. We actually asked for the Ioniq 5, or their newest EV, and Kia said, hey, how about this first? So this has been out for 2 years. They just drop it off and we can do with it or say whatever we want about it. So this is not getting a free car. We can still be as unbiased as we want. So just to let all of our viewers know that we're really thankful that they gave it to us, but we're not beholden to them whatsoever.
Yeah. So we've had a chance now to play with this for about a week. A couple of people have driven it around, and we just like to maybe do a little summary and talk a little bit about what we liked and maybe what we didn't like. So I'm going to start it off with my summary. I think this is a really well-designed 90s car. This is a well-executed 90s design. This car is unmistakable when you look underneath and you look at the suspension and things like that. The way that the under hood is done and whatnot, it all kind of reminds me of a really well-designed 90s type of vehicle. The ride and drive, it feels like a 90s kind of car. It's solid. There's nothing wrong with the 90s design. It's just that it's not what I would classify as modern, like what we would see if we were driving if we drive a Tesla, it's a BMW. And that drive, that driving experience is vastly different. The one thing I know this is kind of like stupid, but one thing I did like was I like the fact that that it had a charger in the front. I know that from an effectivity standpoint and from an efficiency standpoint, that's not the best option. It's better to have it in the back, but for me, I think it was good. And
my least favorite part of our 8,000-mile road trip was not the charging experience at Tesla, but it was Sandy trying to back up in between the lines.
Yeah.
So I don't want to throw you under the bus, but maybe I can give you some footage. It's just being in the front is a lot easier, and I would have liked this on our Tesla.
So I will tell you that the backup camera and I still haven't gotten along. I prefer to use just turning my head around and backing in. I can do that zippity-doo-dah fast, but I don't know what the deal is, but I just can't make the camera work for me. But there were things here that we both liked and both basically didn't like. I think that from a customer interface standpoint, the controls are really easy to figure out. This is a kind of thing if I got to the like I landed at an airport and I went to a rental car company and I'm in a hurry and I ran in and I jumped into this car, it takes like seconds to figure it out. It's intuitively obvious where everything is and how everything's supposed to work. So that part I liked a lot. Yeah.
And the interior and the ride and handling reminded me most of my 1991 Nissan Maxima. Now the 3rd gen Nissan Maximas are super popular. I don't know if there's any fans out there watching, but I love my vehicle. I kept it so long that Sandy wouldn't even let me park it in the front at Munro because it was getting so beat up. But anyways, I absolutely loved how open the interior was. I hated the Polestar. Now, hate's a strong word, but when I get in a vehicle, it kind of reminded me of like a cockpit. Everything was real close. The center console was high up. This has a much more open feel, which I prefer.
Well, I'm a little slimmer than Cory, so the Polestar didn't really bother me that much. But I do like a lot of the features here on this Kia. The only thing I don't like is I just don't like it when a car company decides that they're going to make an EV, an HEV, and ICE vehicle all on the same platform, everything suffers. It just doesn't work for me. So that's my biggest complaint here. I was looking forward to a lot more cargo space. I would never buy this simply because there's no cargo space. There's no frunk. There's virtually no trunk. And I mean, I didn't put it in, but I have an old-fashioned briefcase that I got, I think when I got out of college or something like that. Somebody gave me this red briefcase thing, and really and truly, I couldn't even put that underneath the underneath that little what do you call it? The little lid that's in the back that I've forgotten the name of. Load floor. Now, so, go ahead.
I had a slightly different experience with the back. So, I drive a GMT 900 SUV, a Yukon, which has very little space after the third row. Now, granted, it's third row. I cannot fit my cooler behind my third row. I have to tumble the seats forward. It's ridiculous. So my vehicle is reduced to a 4-passenger vehicle if I want to take my cooler with me. This thing, my cooler fit in the back behind that second row. I didn't have to fold them down. So that was nice. Now, is it what we're used to with the Model Y and the Model 3? No. Sandy and I traveled around the country with so much luggage.
Well, and all the gear, all the equipment,
gifts.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful
brilliant,
ride,
yeah. But for me, so I look at a car about this size as somebody that may want to try and get into business for themselves, you know, as a driver from the airport and things like that, like Uber or what have you, or Lyft. And for me, there's no way. If I picked up 2 people, I wouldn't have enough room for their luggage. So this is this is the type of car that you'd have for probably an older person, somebody who's not, let me rephrase that, an older thinking person, because I keep forgetting I am old, but an older thinking person where they can get in and they can figure it out and it'll be done in a heartbeat, and it'll function for them, and they don't need a lot of space, and maybe they don't go on trips and things like that. So for me, that's what this car is dedicated to.
Yeah, and Sandy, remember, this car's been out for almost 2 or 3 years. I believe it's a 2019 model year. 20 model year is the earliest version of it. So our original request to Kia's press group was to get an Ioniq, I think Hyundai Kia. And this is what they gave us. So thank you for that. But if we want to review, we really would like to review the latest and greatest. And we assume that, I think in the next 2 or 3 months, that might be a possibility.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd like to see how it improves. I didn't realize it had been out that long. So anyway, let's see what we come up with here. Just to wrap things up a little bit, Cory and I talked a little about how we rate different vehicles, and I'm going to tell you it's very different. My #1 pick, and I've said this a dozen times already, is the Model Y. I like it because it's got lots of space. I like it because it drives like a dream. It drives like a BMW, well, I was going to say 5, and I'm going to stick with that. It drives like that. It's wicked fast. Everything about it is appealing to me. After that is a Model 3. And then after that, I'm telling you, I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of hate mail, but I think that the Mustang comes in third. And then after that, Cory's going to hate me, but I think the Polestar, mainly because I like the idea of sitting in something where I'm wrapped. I feel like I'm in a cockpit of an airplane or something. And then right after that, I got Kia. So, and then after Kia, others. I mean, we've driven dozens and dozens of cars. This, to me, has a market for it's not my market, but it's a market that this car satisfies. It's a good price. It's like, what, 10 grand less than a Model Y?
That's about that's correct. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got to say. What's yours?
Now, I would vary just a little bit, Sandy. I'd go Model Y. mostly because of the space and the function. It's very similar to the Tesla Model 3. Relatively far behind, I'd put the Mach-E, just because the range is not as good and you're paying about the same price. If the Mach-E was a lower price point, I could justify the Mach-E being rated a little higher, but paying in the high 40s to almost $50,000 for a decent range Mach-E makes me rate the Mach-E a little lower. The Kia I have right behind the Mach-E because to me, this matches what I expect an EV to be. And the range of 250 miles and the entry price being a little bit lower, this is a more practical vehicle. And the fact that it's been out for almost 2 or 3 years, that tells me that this is old news. What Kia is going to be launching in the near future most likely will be much better. Then I have the Polestar. The price, the Polestar is $60,000, Sandy.
The Ford and the Kia are definitely not.
Yeah.
You know, they don't really have even anywhere close to autopilot. So whereas the Polestar had something that was a little bit better,
Yeah.
so that's why you got a little bit better rating. But at 60 grand, yeah, there's some problems there.
Now, Sandy and I want to stay as up-to-date as possible on all the EVs that are in the market. So once again, we appreciate Kia giving this to us, but our true bread and butter is the teardowns. Now, we have the Model S Plaid coming in the fall. We have a Rivian coming whenever that's delivered. We ordered a launch edition, and one of our engineers ordered it the second that pre-orders went live, and we are using that pre-order number. So we do believe we should get our Rivian R1T launch edition, you know, relatively quickly. And then next year we have, man, what else do we have?
Well, we got the Lightning coming.
Oh, when the Lightning launches, we're going to tear our Lightning down. And that's where we know that we shine, is when we really are able to tear the vehicles down. But we appreciate you tuning in to take a look at our review of this Kia. Sandy?
Yeah, there is one other thing that maybe, two other things that maybe we need to let you know about. One is, no, I am not going to, we're not going to tear down an ICE vehicle. We do that for customers. We do a lot of work for some of the existing companies, and they ask us to do that. But for this channel, I don't believe that that's not our market anymore. So, to the folks that have sent me these little notes, the answer is no. The second thing is Cory yesterday or earlier this week said something about hiring, and I'd like him to repeat that. Maybe let everybody know what's going on.
At Munro, we are phenomenally busy, and our team is expanding. We have roughly 10 positions open right now. So if you're an engineer and you really think you like what we do here and you want to apply for a job, check out the job postings that we have listed on Munro Live in a section called Opportunities. If you think you match the skill set that we're looking for and want to work with Sandy and I, send us your resume at hr@leandesign.com.
The other thing that maybe we can add too is that we are looking really for electronics engineers, electrical engineers, battery engineers, and we also do work for the DoD, and so if you have a secret status or something, you'd also be very welcome to put in a resume. So with that, anyway, thanks very much for watching. If seeing as Cory's here, if you have a mind, maybe you could subscribe. It's always nice if we can get more subscriptions, and we'll be coming back to you with more Munro Live here shortly. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Hey boys and girls, here's a little added something for your Labor Day party. It's not often, it's never happened before that we've had a customer write and sing a song about Munro and Associates. So stay tuned and see what Mark Frommar has to say and sing about Munro and Associates and our capabilities for helping him develop the new Archimoto. So stay tuned. Here it comes.
At a warm summer showcase in a little town called Portland, met hippies and some techies to build the world a ride. Across the parking lot I saw him, a grizzled auto veteran. So I walked right up and asked him, Sandy, can you give me some advice? He said, son, I made my life out of tearing down the big cars, knowing where the flaws were by the way they joined their parts. So if you don't mind my saying, I think we can really help you. We'll lean design the moto and get you guys to scale. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk to work, know when to fuck. You never count your attendees when you're sitting at the keyboard. There'll be time enough for counting when the factory's done. Now every builder knows that the secret to designing is keeping all things simple, great suppliers by your side. 'Cause every fastener can be trouble, funky yoke for Bob's assembling, short the shadow of design cost, and we'll build the best of rides. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk to work, know when to fold. You never count your attendees when you're sitting at the keyboard. There'll be time enough for counting when the factory's done. And when he finished talking, he turned back toward the lot scene, winked at those hippie chicks and got into his plaid. And somewhere in the darkness we see that big ramp coming, and in this awesome team we've got the aces that we need. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk to work, know when to fold. You never count your attendees when you're sitting at the keyboard. There'll be time enough for counting when the factory's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk to work, know when to fold. You never count your attendees when you're sitting at the keyboard. There'll be time enough for counting when the factory's done.